¡Wow! Me resulta fascinante pensar en la cantidad de carnaliens que ya han tomado los talleres con Tepozcuencos Coyoacán. Cada día veo más cuencos por todos lados y esto está sucediendo gracias al esfuerzo del maestro Jeffrey Torkington por expandir este mensaje. Estos instrumentos místicos y mágicos, lo único que pueden traer a tu vida es felicidad. Así que se vienen 4 fechas para que te inscribas a estos cursos. Presta mucha atención. En Querétaro del 17 al 19 de noviembre, en Hermosillo del 24 al 26 de noviembre, ambos cursos con el maestro Ramón Aldecoa. Con el maestro Jeffrey Torkington hay otras 2 fechas, del 17 al 19 de noviembre en Coyoacán, en Ciudad de México, y del 8 al 10 de diciembre en Amatlán de Quetzalcóatl. Es muy importante que escuches los episodios que ya tengo con estos maestros para que comiences a conectar con ellos. Acaban de abrir una tienda nueva en Coyoacán, así que escríbele a Jeffrey y conecta con él. Más 52 55 44 43 0106. Búscalos en Instagram como tepos con z-cuencos-coyoacán.
Estás escuchando Sabiduría Psicodélica por Yannina Thomassiny.
Hola, hola amiguitos, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a Sabiduría Psicodélica. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. Estoy muy contenta el día de hoy porque voy a entrevistar a una persona que quiero mucho y que admiro mucho porque su trabajo es maravilloso. Déjenles cuento un poco y los pongo en contexto. Hace más o menos unos 5 años, un amigo mío me habló por teléfono y me dijo que había un hombre francés que se iba a presentar en el Festival de Cine Ambulante y se iba a presentar en un convento que se llama el Convento de Teresa actual, y en medio de una iglesia con unas cúpulas así muy grandes, muy bellas, se presentó este hombre llamado Vincent Moon. Y yo llegué pues como a la expectativa, sin saber mucho, solo recibí esta llamada de una amiga que me dijo: te va a volar la cabeza, te va a fascinar lo que vas a ver, creo que es muy tu onda, es muy lo que a ti te gusta, velo a ver. Entonces ya estaba yo en esta iglesia esperando esta presentación y de repente salió este hombre y empezó a hacer cine en vivo. Empezó a mezclar diferentes escenas de rituales de todo el mundo que están vinculados a lo sagrado, a lo místico, a lo espiritual, con música muy bella, música que se integra de parte de estos videos y va creando como sonidos muy particulares. Pareciera una orquesta, pero que se teje de la naturalidad de estos videos. Y fue muy mágico, fue muy profundo, fue como si fuera una especie de ceremonia en donde yo pudiera contemplar cómo el humano siempre ha tenido una necesidad muy profunda de encontrar la parte espiritual, una explicación de qué se trata todo esto, por qué estamos en esta dimensión, por qué somos mortales, a dónde nos vamos a ir cuando nos muramos. Y esa necesidad de entender eso nos lleva a unas búsquedas tan profundas, tan hermosas, y Vincent se ha encargado de grabar toda esa búsqueda donde nos reconocemos como humanos, que al final eso somos, humanos en esa búsqueda, en la práctica que sea, porque puede haber de repente momentos en el cinema en vivo que hace Vincent, donde se puede mezclar una escena de una ceremonia de ayahuasca del Santo Daime con una escena de gente católica parándose a tomar la hostia en la iglesia. Y entonces te das cuenta que al final todo es lo mismo. Y bueno, después de esa fascinación por esta presentación que me dejó con la cabeza así como wow, qué maravilla, Vincent y yo compartimos de manera virtual muchísimas conversaciones en donde platicábamos de la medicina del sapo, porque los dos amamos al sapo, y hablábamos de psicodélicos y de sus viajes por el mundo. Y ahora vuelve a México, se presentó en el Cine Tonalá. Vuelvo a ver su show hace 2 días, espectacular, otra vez, mágico. También verlo a él en este momento en donde tiene una computadora enfrente y tiene miles de archivos y los va acomodando y los va poniendo en la pantalla y va haciendo así como clapping con sus dedos y patea con el zapato y es una cosa fascinante. La verdad es que yo me declaro muy fanática de su trabajo y hoy está aquí en la casa y vamos a hablar de todos sus trips. Vamos a hablar de en dónde anda. Cómo es que ha llegado a crear estas piezas de arte tan maravillosas. Así que bienvenido, Vincent.
Gracias, Yannina. Estoy muy feliz. Gracias. Muchísimas gracias, realmente. Wow. Qué linda introducción. Wow. Estoy muy contento. Y me voy a intentar hablar un poquito en español, un poquito en inglés. Vamos a ver, ¿ok? Porque
Sí.
mi español no está muy bueno.
Sí, amiguitos, de antemano les pedimos una disculpa si va a haber como mucho Spanglish por aquí. Pero, bueno, Vincent es francés, habla algo de español, pero lo que habla bastante bien es el inglés. Entonces vamos a tratar de compartirles esta información en todos los idiomas que se vayan manifestando, pero sí creo que es importante que conecten con él porque su trabajo es mágico. Ya de entrada les digo, pueden encontrar en su página vincentmoon.com
Exactamente.
muchísimos de estos archivos de grabación que él ya ha hecho como cineasta, digamos, como alguien que graba todas estas ceremonias y lo pueden encontrar de manera gratuita en su página. Entonces ahí pueden darse
todo.
un buen clavón y encontrar todo. Cuéntanos, tell us about I want to hear your story.
Yeah.
What's your context? In which moment of your life you start to do this recording of ceremonies, your interest in sacredness?
Okay. Yes, I try to make it short, Yannina, then. I grew up in Paris, but I did not grow up in any family with artistic roots, let's say. I was not exposed to music, cinema, dance or anything until late teenage years, let's say. So I discovered everything a bit suddenly, and then I was compulsive about my desire to know and to listen, to see everything. And so I was maybe 19, 20 years old and I started to go out a lot. I was growing up in Paris and every night there was many concerts happening. So music at first was my main kick, my main ritual actually. Of course I was not calling it a ritual. I didn't know anything about ceremonies at the time. But every night I was going to see concerts, many different concerts, and a lot of very radical, very experimental, sometimes very noisy music, very physical relationship con música. Siempre, desde el inicio, creo. And I started to make I was making photos at the time. I started to make a lot of films about music. I started a project named the Takeaway Shows of La Blogothèque, the concerts à emporter with another friend. We had a lot of success with this. It was like 15, 16 years ago. And we were filming bands, rock bands, pop bands, indie bands. And at the time, we were really obsessed with this new American scene, let's say, Arcade Fire, Beirut, The National, Grizzly Bear. All those different bands were basically at some point passing by Paris, doing a show. And before the show or after the show, for some of them, we would ask them to go in the street and play music in a very simple, very stripped way. Okay? Let's go back to the intimacy. Let's go back to the fact that you're not on stage anymore. You're not higher than us. Can we just commune, and celebrate around this music in a different way? I was just I had some early inspirations. My goal was really to break down this, the hierarchy, basically, the limits in between the audience and the music. And I was trying to bring the musicians in for those very simple and beautiful live takes. Entonces, hicimos esto durante algunos años, 3-4 años, sin parar, mucho. And I got a little bit bored after a while of especially of filming the same music. So I started to travel. I started to travel away from Europe, away from North America, where I was as well a lot. And I started to come to South America. I went to Southeast Asia, pero con mi cámara, siempre en mi mochila. And I was I realized I could do the same film. I could also film music in the same way, but in those other places. And in all those other places, what I started to connect with was the local, so-called traditional music. And with it was coming actually a deeper dimension of integration of the music with the history of the people, with their way of living together and so on. And then I started to be obsessed with the ceremonies around them, you know. And then I started to get invited to more and more different forms of rituals, sacred music, gatherings, and so on. And I ended up one day, especially I remember very well, I was in Cairo, in Egypt, and someone took me to he told me a very hidden and kind of like forbidden ritual. He took me to a zar. And a zar is a trance, very deep trance exorcist type of ritual, a very deep healing process, and especially made by women in that case. So I arrived in that place and there was like two women playing music, singing really loud in a room, and there was another woman on the floor. She was in trance. And there, in that room, there was no place for a spectator. There was just only participants, right? In front of that trance, in that little room, filled with music, filled with energy, and something completely flipped for me. Or maybe I just looked back at all my years of researching on music, and I realized, oh, that's what I was looking for. I was, of course, looking for that type of direct relationship with sound, which could change reality. You know, I didn't know. I really didn't know what it was. But then I realized here was a tradition which was still alive, where people were still performing, using music as a healing tool, as this extraordinary sacred technique to deal with forces, invisible forces. And from that moment on, it was very clear for me that this is what I wanted to know about. This is what I wanted to document. This is what I wanted to really put back on the table. Because I grew up in a Western society, in a French, very comfortable, sometimes luxurious society, which has been completely disconnected from its own spirituality for not that long ago. Actually, it's very important to say, not that long ago. And I realized how much such gatherings around music, such ceremonies, such trance states were deeply important for the social interactions. The social group needs such accomplishment on some levels to balance itself, to harmonize. It's a very simple thing, and all I could refer to coming from my own European background was the Sunday Mass at the church, which was, I mean, it must have been better before, right?
Yes.
Because I'm like, this is not the most exciting place to commune, to be together. I mean, I still go to churches from time to time to still look for the divine, actually. Sometimes, very rarely, to be honest. In that sense, I think the protocol, the process of the ritual itself is something which have to be reworked again and again, of course. And so I started to research all around, en el mundo, sin parar, durante años. Muchos años viviendo con una mujer maravillosa, Priscilla, con quien hicimos muchas películas. We made a project in Brazil named Híbridos, the Spirits of Brazil, which was the longest project I ever worked on, which was a very large archive of the diversity of music and ceremonies all around Brazil. You can actually see all of the project on our website, híbridos.cc. It's very beautiful, very crazy project. But this has been teaching me many things. Especially, I guess, living in Brazil, the way that people were incorporating spirituality into their everyday life, the way that they were allowing them to go from one temple to another, the way that they were basically able to bridge different knowledges, different traditions, and mix them together without any problem was very important. It clicked something very strong for me. And it is at this exact moment that my films, which were still only on internet, sometimes in film festivals, but very rarely, I really like the idea. As you said, todo mi trabajo está licencia libre, open source, that's how you say it.
Sí. Disponible.
Pero gratis. Let's say that I'm not the ownership of this, okay? It's very, very, very important thing for me, in a sense that that's what I encountered as well through all those psychedelic experiences as well that we will talk about, that the whole idea of ownership was was a joke. It was a complete, I would say actually now, a complete mistake in the race of human race. Sense we went a bit too far there, and so the idea of me being let's say the word in English is director, or the idea of owning any of those was completely wrong. I'm not directing anything. I'm not owning any of those recordings in that sense. They were just created as an encounter. So all the films are under an open source license, allowing everybody to use them.
That's amazing.
Well. It's very simple as well.
Maybe you are a collector.
But it's more simple. I'm collecting
Exactly.
I'm collecting beauty all around the world, but I really want to make it available as simple as possible. Mm-hmm. Because it's very important, because what's at stake is actually the reconnection with the beauty of humankind, I do believe. To reconnect with ceremonies for me, and what is the ritual in a sense, I would say I saw it clearly at first under the eye that I grew up myself in a society where music was performed in a venue, paintings were on the wall of another venue, cinema was shown in again another place, and you're like, how did we end up separating all those different languages? It's a very simple question actually. We don't think about it too much, but all those languages in the ceremonial moment are together. They're dancing together. The dance, the smell, the food,
yes,
the sounds. It's all commune for a greater goal, right? Mm-hmm. And also that was my desire, and especially after traveling a lot around Brazil, I developed this idea of the live cinema that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. So not only my films were suddenly available on internet, but I could also perform them. Not only show films one after the other, but as you mentioned quickly, perform them, remix them live, layer them down, basically allowing that two different images, two different sounds, recorded in two different spots of the planet at two different times, were able to interact and actually make a new meaning. There was something in between which was appearing. And I was the first surprised about that. I was like, this is working. Actually, this is not only working in a sense that it's working beyond me. I'm not anymore controlling much there, you know. And especially you've seen me, you were mentioning that adentro de esa performancia de live cinema es una cosa muy física para mí. Muy física. Es mi propio tren, de alguna manera. And so in a way, what I'm trying to do, even though I am, at least those are my hands, still on the computer and on the little machine to edit, I try to let it go as much as possible of any ideas, any projections. You know? So I do not project what I'm going to show beforehand. I do improvise everything. And so that's what has been taking me again around the world. And nowadays I'm traveling solo again. I'm documenting the way that people play together, perform music, but not only rituals. I'm also very interested in experimental music, because I do believe there's a similar quest behind, especially in the field of avant-garde music, avant-garde performances. I'm very interested to bridge this, and this has taken me to Mexico, where I arrived just 3 weeks ago, and I've been traveling already quite a bit, making some recordings, and I will keep traveling for the next months. And all those recordings I am making, I am giving them back to the people I film, of course. I make them without really any money involved. I really live with very little money. And I do integrate them little by little in my live cinema performances. So let's say that a recording, for example, just happened just before we started this interview, an hour ago. We did the recording, we might talk about it. And I know that next time I'm going to perform, probably next week in Mexico City, I will use that recording inside. And it's going to be, again, the follow-up, the continuation of an adventure which have no ending.
Amazing.
Is that clear?
Super clear.
Buenísimo.
I love it.
Gracias.
Imagínense, por favor, todos los que nos están escuchando, lo que significa por 15 años que una persona dedique su vida a grabar los rituales más sagrados, secretos, inimaginables de todo el mundo. O sea, porque en una presentación de Vincent, ustedes pueden presenciar escenas de diferentes partes de África, de diferentes partes de Brasil, del Cerro del Quemado con los huerráricas, con rusos, con gente de Rusia que está también en un ritual fantástico, luego alguien como egipcio, luego una mujer en burka que aparece en medio como de unas ruinas, y o sea, hay aquí un testimonio, un testimonio muy impresionante de todo lo que el humano hace para encontrarse a sí mismo.
Exactamente.
I want to ask you...
This is exactly this. Thank you so much, Yannina. You
Sí,
said
¿no?
it very well.
Like to find yourself.
Exactly. All the stuff we've been trying since the beginning of times to find ourselves. This is very much what it's all about, to reconnect with ourselves. Very much. And I do believe, I do come now to that conclusion, which is still moving, but that's the main reason, is that we need to explore actually what makes who we are in this extraordinary reality we live
In this super difficult moment that we are passing through in humanity, I mean, like in the whole world, what do you think that is the connection between all the different beliefs, all the different practices? Like, what is the core of all these necessities of human kind, no? Like, what is connecting us in this research or this, ¿sí? Like, necesidad de saber qué onda.
I mean, at least nowadays we can see what disconnects us very clearly. And it's very interesting to study that, to look at the fact that in a way the new technologies, the digital age that we entered has been more of a problem than a solution in the way we've been using it. It has been creating more and more distances. The use of social media has been pretty much dramatic. It's been really creating a lot of hatred more than anything else.
Yes.
It's very interesting too. There's a very beautiful and pretty radical quote by Terence McKenna.
I love Terence McKenna.
Me too. I always go back to McKenna at some point. He said, culture is a trap.
Again?
Culture
Mm-hmm.
can be a trap for the evolution of human consciousness. And I think that makes a lot of sense nowadays. We are basically being trapped by our so-called identities. And in a sense, by doing so, we're creating more and more anger against the others, which are not looking like us, and so on. It's a very difficult thing to navigate in such a collapsing society, definitely. What I do believe is that what I've experimented, actually, it's not really a belief. You just experience things firsthand, and then you know, hopefully. There's a beautiful interview at the end of his life of Carl Jung, at his own place, and someone, the interviewer, asking, "But Mr. Jung, do you believe in God?" And I do consider Mr. Jung as the greatest explorer of the mind ever. He went so far, and he's really an extraordinary light.
Sí.
And then Carl Jung sort of like laughs a little bit. And he's like, oh, well, I don't believe. I know.
Claro.
And at some point, that's what you want to achieve, or to go beyond the belief, to go beyond, let's say, to go for a direct experience. In a sense, most of the religious movements, as they have been evolving, have been cutting ourselves from the direct experience. There is a mediation, right? And that mediation is very tricky to navigate, because then you are in the world of beliefs.
Claro.
You trust someone. So. But I think better than trusting someone, trusting yourself is the key, right? And trusting yourself through your own experience. So going deeper and deeper and deeper. It's not for everybody, and I do not believe everybody should take psychedelics, for example. Make it clear. No, it's not actually. It's a very complex process. But I've been very interested, and I've been very much part of this rebirth, reawakening of the spirits through the reconnection with the plants and so on, for example. And in all those experiences, everywhere I went, and the more I was traveling, the more I was going to very drastically, radically different places, the more I could see the same thing happening. The same movements, the same joy, the same way to move in the space, the same way to commune, to be together. Just a different colors, just a different smells, different sounds maybe, but not that much of a difference in the end, you know?
I'm always saying in my podcast, different airplanes, same destiny.
Yeah,
No?
that's a good one, claro.
And what you said about Jung, well, that's why I love psychedelics, no? Because you transform the hippie phrase of like, we are one, or we are God.
Yeah.
You really incarnate
Exactly.
that.
You embody it.
You embody, no? You are that idea.
Mm-hmm.
You really confirm that information, no?
No.
Stop to be a cliche, and it's like, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's real. So if I'm the owner of this reality, if I'm the creator of this game or whatever is, whatever this is, no, I'm going to enjoy it.
Claro.
For me, the revelation always is coming back to enjoy. Like you decide this character, you decide this human experience to enjoy life. That's one thing that we have in common, no? That
Yes,
we
definitely.
we are like in ecstasies all the time with life. Like we are like, wow, reality is so amazing. I love everything. And like,
We are very enthusiastic people.
sí,
Yeah.
muy entusiasmados. But please tell me 3 different stories of the 3 most shocking, beautiful rituals that you have ever presence.
Okay. Well, the most important ritual I've ever had in my life probably was the very first time I had a deep psychedelic experience. It was in Colombia. I took ayahuasca. And it went to such a revelatory thing, such animalistic trance relationship with nature, that it really changed. I was maybe early 30, something like that. And it's really definitely put my life on another plane. And I remember it very well that it was not saying everything was wrong before, here's the new understanding. No, it was saying what you understood of life before was just too limited. It just expanded reality. It expanded reality. By doing so, as you also mentioned, it made me a much more joyful person. It made me someone who can really just enjoy life in in a much more simple, direct way. That was it was nearby Bogota. It was a very crazy night. And it's still in me. It's still very much in me. I never really kept in touch with that shaman. Maybe I should visit him again one day. But it got so incredible, so intense. And I think I was ready. I was cooked. I was again, I think Jung used to say that from his own patients, when they were able to really complete the work, to really finish their psychoanalytic movement, in a sense, he was saying that they were constellated. They were constellated enough, so they were ready to switch to another. So I was constellated enough for that experience. And then, so that basically also really, it was at this exact time when I started to really research on ritual ceremonies. So it really kicked also me forward into this desire of I really want to explore with my camera as a microscope in a way, in all those different communities. How do we deal with the divine? How do we deal with the invisible? Which means the same thing to me as how do we deal together with life? It goes together, and it's really it's incredible that that I grew up in a society, France, which have an exceptional spiritual background. Many up until the first decades of the 20th century, it was much more spiritual land in that sense, or it was much more allowed to explore relationship with the spirits and so on. But then, in the second part of the 20th century, that has been completely reduced drastically and kicked away. And everywhere I went after traveling in my research and so on, I realized this was such a key element, the ceremony. It's such a key element to live together properly, in harmony. So obviously you can tell me, well, we still have ceremonies, football games, masses on Sundays for the one who go, and other artistic events, actually. Art has always been a portal for spirituality, for the invisible. But we consume it so much. We basically also frame it so much. And I've been working with many different institutions. I've been working with big museums. I worked at the MoMA in New York. I worked in the Barbican in London. And so you can see this from inside. You see the power, the potentiality that you can have to work in such boxes, let's say. Because they are boxes.
I love the boxes.
But they look like boxes, actually.
Yes.
They might be beautiful boxes, but they're boxes.
Yes.
Vamos a hacer una pausa un momentito para que escuches este comercial. Quiero que conozcas lo que es una Pandora Star. La Pandora Star es un dispositivo de luz parpadeante diseñado para simular la producción natural de neuroquímicos del cerebro para inducirte estados alterados de conciencia como se puede experimentar con las plantas de poder. Usando luces de LED dispuestas en patrones geométricos sagrados, Pandora Star se puede programar para producir luz de alta frecuencia para que el cerebro lo decodifique de manera única y puedas tener los visuales sagrados más impresionantes de tu vida. Las terapias con Pandora Star se utilizan para entrar en meditaciones muy profundas, hipnosis, trances para ayudar al desarrollo personal, espiritual, para relajarte, para que tengas mayor creatividad, mejor concentración, pero sobre todo siempre enfocado en facilitar la transformación personal. Es momento de que actives tu glándula pineal con esta tecnología de Pandora Star y si tú quieres agendar una cita, entra en este instante a www.agendaolos.com, Monterrey, Guadalajara, Ciudad de México, Jalapa, Querétaro, Puebla, Aguascalientes, Playa del Carmen, San Miguel de Allende, Cancún, Veracruz y Saltillo. Te repito, www.agendaolos888.com o envía un mensaje de WhatsApp al +52 22 81 42 03 42. Si tienes interés en comprar la máquina de Pandora Star, también lo puedes hacer a través de este número y tienen una super promoción por el Buen Fin. Solo di el código Yannina y obtendrás un 20% de descuento.
And most of the time, they're like boxes, like in a sense of a square or rectangle. Okay, it's not a circular box, which already would change a bit the energy there. But anyway, and then you realize how much we've got trapped in separating our languages, and basically disconnecting from, and especially disconnecting from the body, and to reconnect with the embodiment, disembodiment. To me, that's what's always been the ceremony about as well, you know, to really get beyond the intellectual approach. You're not gonna know, you're not gonna know God just in your thoughts, you know. You have to experience it deeply in your heart, and that's something that I've been from that first ayahuasca experience I've been pursuing. You're asking me about other. Very important experience in my life.
More than your experiences, like rituals that you record, that you were like, whoa, this ritual is...
Yeah. What I mean is that every time I record, I am part of it. So in a sense, course, they all become my own little ceremonies as well.
Yes, okay.
I was also mentioning this Zar in Egypt. It was very important thing for me, because after I saw this, it was the same period. I think it was just after I was in Colombia and taking ayahuasca. And then on that moment, when I saw those ladies doing in that room this healing trance process, I was like, I want to be in the middle. I always wanted to be in the middle. I mean, I grew up very shy. I had barely any friends when I was a teenager. But I wanted to be recognized. And what did I do to be recognized? I started to express myself. What did I find to express myself? I find a tool. What kind of tool? That tool was a camera. But if I used the camera at first because I wanted to be in the social space. I wanted to be someone. I wanted to be recognized. Yes, of course. Look at me a little bit, please. Look at me a little bit. Tiny bit. And then I pushed it to the level that I realized that in the middle, in the rituals, I didn't want to record them from a far distance. I wanted to be immersed in the ritual itself. So I went to ask those ladies in Cairo if they could do the ritual on me. And then next week I showed up with my camera, and I was like, I want you to make that ritual, the same thing, on me and my camera, because I want the relationship with this technology to be harmonized, to be pacified, maybe. And so that's what happened. They put me in a trance. At some point I took the camera and I filmed, and it was my first trance film. So that was a very important thing for me as well. And then I traveled, and then if I can give you another very good example of something which really, I guess, blew my mind and really opened me to another understanding of the ritual. I guess it was in Brazil, a few places. One is named Flor da Montanha. One is named, or was named, Reino do Sol. One other is named Fraternidade Caimão. If people want to ask me about that, they can just find my contact and I can guide them in case. But anyway, in those places, those spiritual centers, what I saw, what we experienced together, was a gathering of a new kind. Not only a gathering of people together from maybe different social class, but especially a gathering of different wisdom, of different lineage. A gathering which was allowed because it was making sense. Suddenly, the ritual was becoming an art piece again. Or the art was turning again into a ceremony. As simple as that. And that was the reconnection. That reconnection I was trying to look for a long time. I understood very clearly that artistic experiments pushed to a more experiment more a deeper connective tissue. They always go back to the sacred. They always go back to the ceremony. And then I saw it as my mission, but like as a very important thing to explore nowadays. How do we reformulate our ceremonies? How do we recreate space for that? How do we reinvent our temples? That's what I'm excited about now. How do we create new forms of temples? Because we need that more than ever.
Yes.
Very much.
No more boxes in any way. No?
Different forms of temples. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm very interested in architecture for that. Because I do believe architecture also carry that energy. And so yeah, I think it's a way to try to explore a new form of humankind, which is slowly and very difficultly emerging. It's coming, and we know it's coming, but it's going to take so much dramas,
Yes.
so much tragedy before it appears. Truly.
Vincent, if you are talking about this, we need to explore how do you live your own spirituality. I mean, you have been like connecting with so many information. I'm sure that you receive so many questions through this path, no? Like, should I go with these ones or should I go with these ones? Or maybe I had enough of everyone and I just want to live my own spirituality in my own way. Tell us.
Personally, well, it's very
Personally.
simple. I'm always on the road. I'm always traveling, first thing. And I really mean it. I'm always actually traveling from a day to another almost.
You don't have a house, right? You
I don't
are
have
like a nómada.
No, yeah, I don't have a home. I only own 2 bags now. Everything I own fits in 2 bags. Two bags and a half, okay.
Okay.
But really, honestly, I don't have anything else.
Minimalist.
It's very important for me to try to do what I'm trying. You have to reduce, and it's been very exciting for me to reduce like that. It really focuses me on the essential. So I mentioned I don't live with much. I live with little money, but I live with enough money to sustain myself every day and have an okay time, a very okay time, and a very joyful time, because people help you as well. In a sense, of course, I'm in a certain position, being French, having a French passport, especially. I often say this is an amazing thing to travel. I don't have many problems to travel around and so on, and I'm very conscious of that. But I use that opportunity as much as possible to explore what my path could be, and then basically, my spiritual life, because I travel so much, cannot really be linked to the same group of people gathering every week, right? So I have to adapt myself. There are many groups of people I meet, and I'm like, can I really stay with you now? It's okay, I found my home, you know. But then next, and I feel very good at home as well here with those guys. Anyway, so my spirituality is a bit of assemblage. I call it my cosmic soup in a way, you know. It's my own way to deal with the invisible, and I have some specific forms of little rituals I do every day. But I would say that mostly the ritual I'm constantly doing is the ritual of, and it's a very important ritual, and everybody can do it. It's a very good thing for me to talk about that. It's the ritual of improvisation.
Eso. Improvisar.
Improvisar. That's what I came up with after all those years. I realized that what really brings magic to reality is improvisation.
En diversificación, ¿no?
Sí.
Como que yo digo, diversificarte is the key of everything.
Yeah.
You're always doing the same with the same people. You cannot have a expanded mind. I mean, you could, but...
Everything is movement.
Sí.
And to improvise in the life I have, I do have a very specific way to make films which do not need to think much in advance, which do not need to write, and do not need to, let's say, wait for money to make a team. So I do most of my recordings by myself or with someone who's going to help me on the spot. But it's very simple. So that has been allowing me to improvise a lot with reality. I improvise, I go around, I talk to people, I'm discovering an incredible musician which opened me his studio, and then bing, we make something, and then just after that I bump into someone in the street which brings me to this house, and then there's a, so the fact of improvising, of being constantly available, this is actually the idea of availability, It's very interesting because we live in a world where now we're so connected by technology, and at the same time we're never available,
Yes.
Actually, I do tell people I'm always available. You can reach me anytime. I'm always available, and that's a very interesting way to, I guess, stand in with reality, with the movements around. Being aware, and then connects you to magical elements all the time. Mm-hmm. And I've been, how could I say, it's my life that I've been experimenting with, to the point that I notice this more and more, but it's quite obvious actually. It's more and more everywhere, all the time. Magic is manifesting, very special encounters, and it happens always when I'm not expecting anything. Mm-hmm. So that's my spiritual life is very much based on this idea of no projection. It's very interesting because I make films, mm-hmm. So I do project my images at some point. But I'm trying to not project my mind.
You said a very beautiful word, that is disposition. Mm-hmm. So disposición.
Sí.
Mm-hmm. And I think that reality is a mirror. No? If you are in a disposition mode, of course, reality is bringing you exactly the same. No? Like you are like putting this energy into your path, and magic starts to happen. Estás dispuesto a muchas cosas.
Exactamente. Yeah, sí. Exactly. You open your arms,
sí.
And you have no fear. But of course, it takes a while to have no fear, because you grew up in a society which basically makes you fearful. We grew up nowadays in a society which makes us extremely fearful. It's problematic. It's a big
fearful and inadecuados. Mm-hmm. No, you should not be like this. You should not be so intense, so colorful,
yeah.
So
normalize
talkative.
Yourself. Chill out, calm down.
Exactly.
Normalize yourself. Well, no.
Estandarízate.
Exactamente. Mm-hmm. I don't want to standardize myself.
Me neither.
And I've been realizing this recently. I was like, actually, no, let me, I really want to go back on the road. I really want to go back on this, exploratory mode. And of course I have a lifestyle where people are, what? This is weird, this is strange, this is but I'm like, this. But my only answer to that, this is so obvious that I have to try. I mean, if I don't do it, who's gonna do that, And I'm then pushing people to try. Can you try something you've never done before? Can you try something that nobody has ever done before? And see, Of course there's a relationship to danger. But again, what amount of danger are you putting yourself in? I was talking about the fear. I think fear is really very much the
limit.
Yeah, it's so much. We pushed fear in every. It's dramatic. In such a short time, we've been really creating so much fear in society, and I do believe this has been going through images a lot. Mass media images. So I feel very concerned about that, very responsible, because I do make many images about reality. What kind of images do I make? And I'm really saying this actually, I think everybody could think about reality in such a way because everybody is making images. We are all making images. And if we do not make images, we share images. We are responsible on those terms, What are we sharing? What is the impact of that thing we're going to share, for example? And so I've been making images of joyful people, of humankind exploring different ways to be together, and I've been trying to push those images. I'm a very, very little artist. Nobody really. I'm very few, an infinite, really very, very, very small percentage of people on this planet know what I do, and it's completely fine.
Muy de culto.
But it's super good like that, Sí. It's very good. I'm just pushing my little thing. Hey,
Sí.
here's another story. Do you want to listen to it?
Of course.
And then...
But just let me tell you something. Maybe your art is not like in the middle of the Times Square or like in the biggest concert of history or like recognized by the MoMA Museum or whatever. You are an experience that I could say that is one of the most beautiful shows that I ever present in my life. I promise you. It's not because you are here in front of me or something.
It's very sweet from you.
I really admire your work. It's so profound. It's so beautiful.
Gracias.
So tell us the story.
No, but that's what I wanted to say, that the story is being told, actually. Or the stories are being told all the time. When I say I would like to tell another story, I'm saying that basically I would like to tell another story regarding the normative story that we live in now. And in a sense, I think most of us now, hopefully people listening to your beautiful podcast, are very aware of the history is just a fight for narratives. Different narrations take over. And I do believe that there was just a little bit more narratives before, or more alternatives. Nowadays, it seems that we are being stripped down from alternatives. There is not really any alternative to the chaos we live in. There's not really alternative to the behaviors we're supposed to have. And it's very interesting that we allowed this to happen. And I do, of course, we could talk another time, maybe deeper, or with anybody, even if anybody, I'm saying this to the microphone very simply, if anybody have any questions, si ustedes tienen algunas preguntas en español también, puedo tentar responder. Just send
que te escriban.
Sí. It's very simple. I really like that. But what I wanted to say is that there's never been any moment in the history of humankind where there was such possibilities to explore different things, different narratives. And at the same time, I do believe there's never been at any time in the history of humankind so little alternatives on the table. I think it's our responsibility to come up with those alternatives, our artistic responsibility. Artists as researchers, people going into an avant-garde form of relationship with society and proposing something else, you know? I'm not saying this is the truth, but there is no truth. Or there is so many of them, you know? I'm just saying this is the path I decide to take. Hopefully it's going to inspire people to take their own, not to take mine.
Me encanta.
It's simply, it's like we're not here to build a church, another one, you know? We're just here to basically explore a very personal path, which at the end of the day, especially in a psychedelic mind, at the end of the day, all those personal paths, they all commute to the universal understanding, to the universal experience, to that unus mundus that Jung again was talking about, that origin of reality, you know, that we all emerge from. It's muy important.
I have been thinking a lot about the medicine of being uncomfortable, because I think that is the perfect signal of the intelligence of ourselves, that is asking for something else. There is a incomodidad, o sea, hay una, no, like this alarm that starts to ask, like, move to something else, or be more like aligned with your purpose. Start to explore a little bit of your essence, like what do you really need? No? And there is so many alarms inside of ourselves that starts to beep, 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 beep.
Yes, absolutely.
Please pay attention. No?
Exactly, pay attention. There's a very good book by Aldous Huxley.
Aldous Huxley.
Yeah, el último libro de Aldous Huxley se llama Island. There is a bird. It's a very interesting society. An evolved society living on an island, and there is a bird whose cry, with scream, always attention, as a good reminder. Yes, of course, pay attention, keep paying attention, everywhere, all the time. Last night we were at Mutek together, right?
Yes.
Did you pay attention to how much we were like compartmented? to how much we allowed actually so much security to enter what a place to do what to gather in joy and love and well no I'm sorry I can't in such conditions.
It's weird,
you know, and we accept it. And we yes, that's the rules here, but I'm like, those rules are, I mean, this is crazy. Pay attention, keep paying attention. We've been accepting all too much of those things, you know, and for some reasons of comfort, of security, and so on. But I think we've been stripped down our own humankind out of that. Yeah, we have to keep paying attention.
and with that being uncomfortable, because there is so many people that are completely uncomfortable with their lives.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to start to see the necessity of something new.
Yeah.
Everyone needs something new. The vibe right now is like, give me something fresh. Like, I'm so tired of the same system.
Yeah, sure.
That's why there is so many people interested in psychedelics, because we want to connect with something more pure, more authentic, more, I don't know, which other word? ¿Qué otra palabra?
Of course, more original to our own essence. But at the same time, how do we basically, what kind of new experiences are we talking about there? Are we talking about something which is going to be a beautiful blow, an extraordinary moment, and then gone? Or are we talking about something that slowly is going to sustain itself and offer the basis of a new form of living together? And I think this is very much also our responsibility. All of us, you know, all of us architects of reality. We are all really working on this. It's really a matter of like, how do we develop protocols, processes, experiences, which are gonna slowly create actually a new base for a new understanding of reality, maybe, you know. It's complicated times. It's a very, very, very hard, very dark times we're going through.
Yes.
But we have to look at it in the eyes.
But also, in these difficult times that we are seeing so much tragedy and so many like super dark situations, I really believe that we need to start to see beauty, like to look at the beauty of life, like to embody, you know, like an energy that is holding space for all the other things. Because if everyone is collapsed, the world is going to collapse.
Yeah, of course, and people are collapsing.
Sí.
Definitely, big times. And so I think it's our responsibility. It's my own responsibility, for example, someone like me, a white European dude who have grew up in a pretty orchestration, in absolutely not privileged background, but still, it's my responsibility to not collapse, for example, and to say, okay, well, let me explore in such something like that. Anybody comes with me? Hasta luego. And I think so. Yeah, I think so. All of us, we should try to really creatively, you know, dig into this now.
Tell me about the toad experience. What do you think that is that dimension? El sapito. Hablemos del sapito.
So just we should say that, but basically I just had the sapito an hour ago. Right? I mean, a bit more now. Just before this interview. It was very crazy. It was the second time I was having the toad. The first time with you. It was very different. Very, very, very different experience from my own, from the first one I had, which was radically wild. This was here now, much more comfortable, very beautiful, very peaceful trip, which confirmed, I think, for me, some clear elements. Things are very clear, you know, to me. Things are extremely clear after this, actually. Okay. I'm feeling very aligned. I don't know if I want or even can, obviously, put words on what is the experience really. It's just, it goes beyond words, and I think that's also the beauty of it. I do respect mystery of life too much to try to not explain everything all the time. There was a beautiful thing we're sharing at the end, how much such a radical experience, especially such a short window in our relationship to time. It's a very short window on another dimension. I think it brings us, psychonauts, especially people who have been navigating those other realms for a while, it brings us to this very reassuring understanding that if you want to have a good, if you want to enjoy life, if you want to be very good, how could I say? Let me just phrase this well. I think it's very important to be conscious of the backstage of reality if you want to have a good time on stage.
Me encanta eso.
That's very simple, but that's it. And then you take things less seriously. You take things less dramatically. You take things actually much more with a really good laugh, because actually there is this idea of the cosmic giggle, the cosmic joke, which is always present to me in the psychedelic experience. At some point, there's something which it snaps maybe in my ear and it goes like, come on, why are you taking this so seriously?
Ajá. For me
And it's always like, oh yeah, of course.
You can laugh.
You can laugh. You can laugh.
Yes.
And you can love. And that's beautiful that laugh and love, in French, it's humour et amour. They are very related. They're always very related. And I cannot love if I'm not laughing. And I think to bring back a very good joke at the center of reality is very important now.
Sí, hay que reírnos.
But we have to find a very good joke. Because it's not really laughable outside, it seems.
Sí.
But so it's a big responsibility. But I think, yeah, that's there's a lot of light in this, everywhere around us, if we know how to look at it. We have to tweak, maybe, our perceptions of reality again.
Mm-hmm. Vincent me dijo algo que me gustó mucho hace 2 días después de su show. Estábamos compartiendo en una terraza y estábamos platicando con varios amigos. Ahí estaba Leo Heiblum, que por cierto, let me tell you something. When I interviewed Leo in my podcast, at the end I said, you should connect with a friend of mine called Vincent Moon.
He told me
and then I found Leo in your show.
Yeah.
So it was funny. But you said something that I love. You said shaman. What you said, like shaman, showman.
I've been exploring the link in between shaman and showman.
Tell us.
I've just realized that there's much more than we expect, in a sense that the illusion of reality, the trick of healing, it's all part of the same conscious game, I believe, with magic. And the healing processes I've been through in deep, ancient traditions are the playful, creative games I've been playing on some other side of the planet are very related. Are very, very related. Actually, they are the same. One is the continuation of the other, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. By saying that, every shaman is also a shaman, it's also acknowledging the fact that in the healing process, there is a part of an artistic trick, an artistic, beautiful, magical thing that, unfortunately, of course, a rational mind will claim as fake. But it is not. This is way beyond
fake or real.
Exactly.
Yes.
It goes and taps into another layer of reality.
Sí.
And that's what I've been very excited to explore. In a sense, my live cinema are trying to bridge those practices, are trying to bridge this shaman going in a trance, smoking his own plant, with this guy or lady in Berlin doing some weird electronic experiments and going in his own madness as well. But there's something very beautiful, because I think they're all trying to succeed their madness, in a way, to assume it. It's a very beautiful thing I was reading the other day. In French it says, I don't even know who said it in French, but it says, le goal ultime de l'humain, c'est de réussir sa folie. I find it beautiful. The ultimate goal of humankind is to succeed your madness, to succeed with how crazy you are. In a sense, like to assume that craziness and to really try to implement it again back in reality.
Me encanta esa frase.
It's beautiful.
Sí. Es como it's like exploring your dark side, ¿no?
Yes,
like,
exactly. Looking at your dark side in the eyes.
In the dark side, like, yes, I love you also.
Yes,
like,
exactamente.
You are part of me. I'm not going to cover you.
Yeah.
No voy a tapar mi lado oscuro. No voy a negarlo.
Exactamente. So you are asking
I'm going to vivirlo.
You are asking me about my spiritual life, my personal spiritual life. I would say now I realize that my spiritual life is much more balanced because I look at my shadows in the eyes.
Claro.
And I respect them and I enjoy them and I laugh at them. I'm not guilty about them anymore. And this is really what has been pushing me to another, a much more fruitful relationship with reality. A much more complete. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the magic, the trick, all of this together.
Showman, shaman. Love it.
Beautiful trip. Yeah.
Sí. Thank you for this interview, Vicente Luna.
Gracias. Muchísimas gracias, Yannina. What a wonderful adventure with you. Merci.
Es un placer conectar contigo.
Yes,
A ver, vamos a ver si este programa sale para este domingo. Y entonces la gente tiene oportunidad de irte a ver el miércoles. Sí, eso sería maravilloso.
Sí, pero el lugar está tan pequeñini que está
que
bien.
No van a caber.
Hay que ver.
Lo vamos a tener que mover a otro lado.
Sí, pero estoy aquí entonces de cualquier manera. Estoy en México, en la ciudad, pero después me voy a Yucatán, me voy a Chiapas, me voy a Oaxaca.
Sí.
En los próximos dos semanas, las próximas 2 semanas. Entonces, si ustedes quieren contactarme de cualquier manera, estoy también organizando algunos shows, live cinema,
sí.
en el último momento, última hora.
Okay.
So if you want to welcome me even at your place, we can talk about it. Es muy fácil de encontrar mi contacto y to write me, so please do it.
Ok, o sea, que te busquen a través de tu página.
Sí, en mi Instagram es muy fácil. Instagram es Petite Planète. Petites Planets, yeah.
Ajá.
Pero Vincent Moon, si buscas.
De todos modos, en la caja de descripción del podcast van a encontrar los contactos de Vincent para que puedan darle clic y ir directamente a él, ¿ok?
Y estar juntos.
¿Quieres decir algo más?
No.
Perfecto.
This is it. Really
Maravilloso. Gracias por venir a la casa. Gracias por estar en Sabiduría Psicodélica.
Y viva ese país maravilloso. Yeah.
Muchas gracias.
Really, I love this land.
Yes, es muy mágico. México es muy profundo.
And it's very grounded, actually.
Y muy místico. Sí.
Everywhere, every corner.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias.
Sí, con muchísimo gusto. Bueno, amiguitos, qué bueno que nos escucharon. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Les mandamos muchos besitos, muchos abrazos. Y por favor ayúdenme compartiendo este episodio, porque eso ayuda a que se expanda el mensaje. Así que compártanlo a través de su WhatsApp con alguien que piensen que puede interesarle, gente que esté tal vez en el mundo del arte y que le gusten este tipo de temas. Denle clic a la campanita para que se suscriban al podcast y nada más. Nos escuchamos la próxima semana. Adiós.